Let's bring in our panel. Charles Hurt, opinion editor for The Washington Times. Leslie Marshall, syndicated talk radio host and syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer. Okay, Charles, let's start with U.S. policy to Syria now. And are we figuring out more of what the administration is trying to do?
I don't think the administration itself is sure what it's trying to do. It succeeded in doing one thing, sending a message to the whole world that we're not going to be walked over, we are going to respond, and when we do, it'll be decisive and it'll be quick. The days of hand-wringing and the days of assuming the U.S. will do nothing, no matter how much it's provoked in the Middle East, are over. But as to the specifics of where we go in Syria now, I think what we're getting out of the administration is perhaps unintended strategic ambiguity, meaning everybody in the administration has a particular view and it hasn't been harmonized. I don't think it matters that much, because even if we decided we're going to do regime change, we are not going to marshal the means that would bring it about. We're not going to invade. So that would be sort of a theoretical issue. We get Nikki Haley saying, yes, we got to have regime change. We have the Secretary of State saying, well, we're going to do ISIS first. The fact is we are going to do ISIS first. We are not going to have a policy of active regime change. But we are telling the Russians, Iranians, Hezbollah, and Assad there are limits to what we will tolerate. And that, I think, will help to restrain what looked to be an unassailable and unstoppable winning strategy on the part of Assad. So his future is in limbo now in a way that it hadn't been before. And that's a big achievement.
There is a lot of parsing, Leslie, on what is being said about regime change, but I think it's notable that they're all talking about diplomacy and getting Russia to the table. And possibly that's what the regime change is negotiating, getting Assad out of the seat, and somebody else gets in that Russia can deal with and the U.S. can deal with.
Well, on Sunday, when McMaster's was talking with Chris Wallace here on Fox News, I think he was pretty clear that we want the regime change, but we're not going to be the ones to do it. I really don't see, with all of the actions of Russia, not just with Syria, but even in their own country, I mean, bombing a hospital, being complicit in knowing about chemical warfare, and when you hear the statements that Russia and Iran won't stand for this and who they're standing with, and quite frankly, our own Sean Spicer calling them an ally, are they an ally? I don't think Russia is going to play the game the way that we want them to, because the best outcome for them is not necessarily what is the best outcome for the United States. And I don't think Russia cares what the best outcome is for the people of Syria, obviously aligning themselves with Assad.
We should point out the Associated Press has a story out tonight that Russia did know about the chemical weapons attack ahead of time. We haven't been able to back that up with U.S. officials telling us that specifically, but Bob Burns is a great reporter, Charles, of not only the Pentagon, but intelligence officials, and that is what they're telling him. I want to play a soundbite from Sean Spicer about the Trump doctrine. That's what he was asked about.
First, we're going to make sure that our national interests are protected, that we do what we can to make sure that our interests, both economically and national security, are at the forefront. We're not just going to become the world's policeman running around the country, running around the world, but that we have to have a clear and defined national interest wherever we act.
What do you think of that?
Well, he certainly is right. The president ran on a campaign of not being the world's policeman, and I think that this is, it's pretty important that they keep that in mind, because I think they will start to lose a lot of that support from the people that put them in office if the president forgets that. But given the strike so far, I think they'll get a pass for that. It was obviously an expensive thing, and we don't have a whole lot of money lying around. But the images were shocking enough, and the fact that we responded to the images, well, of course, that's kind of what war is all about, what diplomacy is all about. When you see these images like this, they were shocking, and so we, it makes sense that we would we would react to it. But I do think that it is truly stunning the degree to which the Obama administration failed to understand the gravity of the situation, failed to realize the degree to which they were being lied to, whether it was Susan Rice or John Kerry or the president himself, even after that report that you showed from the State Department. It is truly stunning. After 9/11, we had extensive research and investigations into how we got all that wrong, and I do think it is amazing how badly the Obama administration fumbled this.
Yeah, Barack Obama, who campaigned on intelligence failure about Iraq and chemical weapons, the essentially the finished job of getting weapons of mass destruction and chemical weapons out of Syria.
I find it hard to believe that anybody, any adult in the Obama administration was not aware of the fact that the Syrians are not people you can rely on when they make a promise about weapons of mass destruction or anything else.
The Russians, for that.
Or the Russians. The Russians are ruthless about this. The Russians lie every day and twice on Sunday. The Russians are denying any involvement in this. Of course the Russians knew about this. The idea that we have to have an investigation is ridiculous. But that's who they are.